The small town of Ashwood was known for its quiet railway station, where the trains came and went like clockwork. But one cold November evening, the station became the scene of a mystery that would shake the town to its core. It all began with the arrival of the 7:15 p.m. express train on Platform 9. Detective Inspector Harold Blake, a tall, sharp-eyed man with a reputation for solving the most baffling cases, was called to the scene. The stationmaster, a nervous man named Mr. Perkins, had found a body in the first-class compartment of the train. The victim was a well-dressed gentleman in his 50s, slumped in his seat with a look of shock frozen on his face. There was no sign of a struggle, no weapon, and no obvious cause of death. Blake examined the compartment carefully. The victim's name was Sir Reginald Whitmore, a wealthy businessman from London. He had been traveling alone, and his briefcase was still beside him, untouched. The only clue was a small, crumpled piece of paper clutched in his hand. It read, "Meet me on Platform 9. Urgent." The detective's first task was to find out who had sent the note. He questioned the station staff, but no one remembered seeing anyone suspicious. The ticket collector recalled that Sir Reginald had boarded the train alone and seemed calm. Blake then turned his attention to the passengers. There were only a handful of people in the first-class carriage, and none of them admitted to knowing the victim. One passenger, however, caught Blake's attention. She was a young woman named Miss Eleanor Hart, who had been sitting 2 compartments away. She was pale and visibly shaken, but when questioned, she claimed she had never seen Sir Reginald before. Blake noticed a faint smudge of ink on her glove, but she quickly hid her hands in her coat pockets. As the investigation continued, Blake discovered that Sir Reginald had been involved in a bitter business dispute with a rival, Mr. Charles Langford. Langford had threatened Sir Reginald publicly just a week earlier. Blake decided to pay Langford a visit. When he arrived at Langford's mansion, he found the man in a state of agitation. Langford admitted to the argument, but denied any involvement in Sir Reginald's death. He claimed he had been at his club all evening, and several witnesses confirmed his alibi. Frustrated, Blake returned to the station. He re-examined the crumpled note and noticed something he had missed before. The handwriting was unusually neat, almost as if it had been written by someone trying to disguise their hand. He also noticed a faint scent of lavender on the paper. Blake's thoughts turned to Miss Hart. He recalled the ink smudge on her glove and the way she had hidden her hands. He decided to question her again. This time, he noticed a small bottle of lavender perfume in her handbag. When he confronted her, she broke down and confessed. Miss Hart was Sir Reginald's estranged daughter. He had abandoned her and her mother years ago, leaving them in poverty. She had written the note to lure him to the station, hoping to confront him about his past. But when she entered his compartment, she found him already dead. Fearing she would be blamed, she had fled back to her seat. Blake realized that the real killer had used Miss Hart's note to set up the meeting. He turned his attention to the station's staff once more. This time, he noticed that the ticket collector, Mr. Perkins, had been unusually nervous. When Blake pressed him, Perkins confessed. He had been bribed by Sir Reginald's business partner, Mr. Langford, to poison Sir Reginald's tea. Langford had wanted to eliminate his rival and frame Miss Hart for the crime. With the case solved, Blake handed Perkins over to the authorities and ensured Miss Hart's innocence was proven. As the fog lifted over Platform 9, the town of Ashwood returned to its quiet rhythm, but the memory of the mysterious death lingered in the minds of its residents, and Detective Inspector Harold Blake, with his sharp mind and keen eye, had once again brought justice to the shadows.